Hey, what's up guys, this is the Math Busters, back with another episode to slice your brains open and chug in some knowledge down that pie hole. Today we will talk about parallel lines. Okay, let's get things started. Parallel lines. Parallel lines in mathematical terms and in geometry are lines in a plane which do not meet. That is, two lines in a plane that do not intersect or touch each other at any point are also said to be parallel. It is a basic entity in our universe, our world. It is used in different aspects in life, from the basic shapes to the complicated processes in engineering. But first, let's take note that we would be focusing on the presence of parallel lines in the field of transportation, so we won't be covering the fields such as engineering and architecture in depth too much. Okay, so in this single clip, one may be able to find a sheer amount of parallel lines, and I bet none of you can find all of them. Simply how infinite they can be. Now look at this. Notice that in this picture, the two lines on the road are parallel, yet if you look at the distance, these lines seem to converge and meet one another. So I'll have you viewers know that this is a paradox in parallelism, and it is called, you guessed it, the paradox in parallelism. So what is this paradox and parallelism thing? Well, in order to answer that, we interviewed a professional who specializes in mathematics.
First, let's discuss first the parallel lines in real life. You say parallel lines that they will not meet. Imaginary lines, take note imaginary lines, but in real life, there is a line. There are two lines that that's why we have the application of parallel lines in track. Ayun, ano yung track na yun? Track basically applies to transportation, to design, architecture, engineering, maraming applications. Basically, you say parallel lines, parang patanyan, they do not intersect, however, visual imaging will always intersect. What does it mean? If you look at these two lines, parang pa ganyan, ito mas malaki, ito lumiliit. At the end, it will intersect. That's what we call visual imaging. Kasi if you imagine the two lines, if you extend infinitely, it will always intersect at the end. Pero in real life, it will not. But if you look at now, the visually, the parallel lines, that's a paradox. Okay. But in real life, there's no such thing as paradox. Okay.
So in other words, in terms of perspective and vision, there is a paradox present in parallelism, but in real life, this paradox is inexistent. No matter how far you go, the lines will stay parallel. Since we're through with that, let's venture on with the application of parallel lines in transportation. Now let's have our good old lad Wesley show us where parallel lines can be seen in transportation. Thanks, Wesley. Now we have seen where parallel lines are applied in transportation. So time for the last part, its importance. This would be further explained by our same interviewee.
the chassis, do you know chassis?
Yes.
Okay, the chassis is always a parallel line. That's a basic of transportation, chassis. The chassis of the train, the chassis of a car, it will never intersect. Imagine if it will intersect, ganyan yung kotse mo. Track itself, ng train. What is the purpose of the track? Simply because it will fit the chassis of the train. If it will not, then it will crush the train. So meaning, they use parallel lines simply because it has the purpose. They will use the parallel lines because it has probably the cost factor. So when you make a design and distinctive value. So parallel lines are very basic in design. The applications basically, number one, sa cost, the design, the architecture, yung aesthetic value, and yung purpose ng lines. Even the example of this are all parallel lines. Bakit? Because the weight will be distributed throughout. Now, lagyan mo ng ano yan, ng beam, beam, lagyan mo ng beam na pa ganun. They are not parallel. What will happen? The strength of materials will probably collapse. The beam will probably collapse. So, the strength of materials will most probably lessen.
And in summary, parallel lines seem to be totally important, especially in transportation. It had become a basic building block in creating complex objects. These lines are very beneficial in using them, and they have their prime purpose to promote safety and order. Without it, the majority of the materials we use today would either not exist or be extremely flawed. There are much more places where these highly essential lines can be applied. Quite frankly, the list is almost endless and there are so much opportunities. And with that, the Math Busters are signing off. Good day, and we hope to see you again next time.